next 15 minutes, I'm going to do a combination of the latest figures about the online and the MENA region. And I'll be focusing also a lot on mobile. And at the end, I will give you a solution that we propose to some of the problems facing mainly online media planning in this region. Before I start, it's a little bit an introduction about Ipsos. If you don't know, Ipsos we are the third largest market research company in the world. The company started in Paris in 1975. It is publicly traded on Paris Stock Exchange market, and we have direct presence in 85 countries worldwide. We employ more than 16,000 employees all over the world. About Ipsos MENA, we are the leading research agency in the MENA region. We have presence of more than 26 years actually in this region. The company started in Lebanon, and then we started expanding in the region. We're covering now 20 countries in the region. And we employ more than 950 full-timers in this region. So along all this process and the 26 years, of course, the media, there was an evolution of media. And our services also, there was an evolution also in parallel to cater for our clients' needs. So what's the media scene in the MENA region? What's happening? Of course, no need to tell you that the world is changing and everything is changing and people are constantly connected wherever we are. And I don't need to tell you where this person is right now. I'm looking at his laptop. So what's the first thing that you do in the morning? I think that we are having a kind of scary relationship with our mobile lately, so I think we're sleeping less, we're connected more, so this is the status of everybody. And I can see everybody now looking or tweeting on your mobiles. These are some figures coming from the US, from a study that is done also by Ipsos called ArabNet. It is showing how the media consumption is on the rise all over the world. So this is a comparison between 2012 and 2013. The total media hours or the total media exposure or how many hours we are exposed or we're consuming media every day, it's in the US, it's 9.7 hours per day. It used to be 9 hours in 2012. In 2013, it's 9.7. TV increased from 3.3 to 3.5 hours. And here we're talking about watching TV live or through VOD or DVR. And you can see also that online is also very high, 2.9 hours per day. These are the numbers here to compare from the Middle East. Also, this is coming from a study that we conducted here in the region. We're talking here about mainly UAE and KSA. So this is the daily reach, and we're comparing 2011 to 2013. So TV increased from 65% to 70%. Newspapers are decreasing a little bit. Radio is stable. And you can see the jump happening on the internet and mobile. Internet from 32% to 46%, while mobile from 23% to 41%. So different media, they don't compete, they rather compete. For me, this is very important because we've been hearing a lot during the last 4 to 5 years about the death of traditional media and people talking about the rise of digital, and we'll be hearing a lot of discussions happening all over the place. For me, the key word here, or the key to success, is to how to make those two types of media work together, to complete rather than to compete. So we did this very interesting exercise. Mainly, this is an example coming from Saudi Arabia. We have considered YouTube as a TV station, like a TV station, and we have looked at the daily reach of those TV stations. So you can see the trend is the same. YouTube is in red. So you have NBC, Rotana, Saudi TV, Dubai One, and you can see that the trend of watching video on YouTube is very similar to watching TV. Another keyword is that, and this is how we need to make sure that those media, they complete, do not compete. So you know everybody, especially advertisers, media agencies, they're looking at ways how to increase the reach. So there is a keyword and that we're talking always about, and you're always hearing it, is the incremental reach, the unduplicated reach. How will I be able to increase the viewers, not by duplicating them, by getting new viewers to a TV station or even to a newspaper or whatever. Also, this is an exercise that we did on NBC. So we can see, and this is in Saudi Arabia. The result was that if you add YouTube to a media plan, having to NBC on a media plan, you have, on average, an incremental reach of 8.8%. So you're adding over the reach of NBC 8.8% on average. This is unduplicated, new viewers coming there. And also, just to show the importance of consuming of the mobile, as a device, mobile is coming in second position for consuming YouTube. Of course, computers, whether laptops or PCs, are coming in first place. While people, they consume, 30% of them, they consume YouTube on any mobile device, smartphones mainly. So all screens are important, but not always equal. What does it mean? If this is an example of from the US, this is showing the time spent using or consuming media versus the advertising expenditure on those media. So you can see that it is going in parallel for TV, 42% with 43%. Print, for example, we spend like less time consuming print, while the advertising expenditures is very high on print. If you look, for example, at the web and mobile, you can see that even in the US, time consuming the internet or time consumed or spending time on mobile is very high compared to the advertising expenditures on those type of media. Even here in the MENA, there is a huge gap and a huge potential if we look at the screen. So TV, for example, is also daily reach is 70%, while the share of TV is 75%. Newspapers also, daily reach is 11, while the expenditures is 18%. They have an 18% share. Radio also is underestimated. If you look at the internet and mobile, and of course the advertising expenditures here are estimated because we don't have any official numbers about the advertising expenditures on the online media here. So 46% is the daily reach of the internet and 41% of mobile, while advertising expenditures is not more than 2%. So you can see the huge gap and the huge potential there. This is a very important quote from Zenith Optimedia, and I will read it for you. They're saying that mobile is now the main driver of global ad spend growth. And this is the first time in more than 20 years that a new platform is expanding overall media consumption without cannibalizing any of the other media platforms. So we're living in a smartphone revolution nowadays. Media change from prime time to always on with your mobile. And the mobile penetration in our region is 100% all over the place. We'll look at the smartphone penetration. These are also recent figures that we have comparing 2012 to 2013. So we're looking at KSA increased from 63% to 79%. This is the smartphone penetrations. 72% in UAE. Egypt is very low. Lebanon, 63%, it doubled in Lebanon, and in Kuwait, it's 69%. The mobile internet access across those smartphone owners, so people who access the internet using their smartphones. So also from 2012 to 2013, there is a big jump, 84% in Saudi Arabia, 83% in UAE, 68%, 85%, 90%. So we're always on, we're always connected using our mobiles. But what are they doing on their smartphones? So we wanted to know what are those people doing. So what we did, we built a panel, and this is something very new in Saudi Arabia, UAE, and Qatar, a mobile panel in 3 countries. This mobile panel will allow us to measure and to collect the consumption of mobile web as well as the applications. So I'll show you some figures also. These are recent ones. So for example, 90% of the total reach of Facebook across smartphone users. So Facebook, they are accessing, 90% of them, they are accessing Facebook on daily basis. And if we add WhatsApp to Facebook, so the company, Facebook, will be able now to reach 100% of smartphone users. Here, I'm talking about using different platforms through the mobile web or the application itself. 80% is the total reach of YouTube across the smartphone users. Also, I repeat, whether YouTube mobile web or the YouTube application. So even if you look at the mobile, if you look at the mobile, even if it has changed the TV experience. So the living room is now a real digital experience. So this is also a very recent figure that for a study that we did to Facebook. So we discovered that people, while consuming their TV, while watching TV, 43% of them are using multi-screen, while 36% are using their mobiles. So it's even while watching TV, we are still connected and using our mobile. And even we discovered that the prime time of mobile is the same prime time of TV. This is here the time spent broken by application used on our smartphones. I'll skip this since we don't have a lot of time. So what are the next steps? So we discovered also that there is some gaps in this region, knowing that we have been a long time here and we're measuring all types of media. So what we discovered that there are some challenges when it comes to online measurement and to online planning in this region. So we're using multiple devices. We're accessing the internet using whether our desktops, smartphones, tablets, etc. And we have multiple places to access this. So to be able to target, for example, a basic target audience of, let's say, females 40 to 40, you would have to do some extrapolations and projections and go back to use our offline data. So it's a little bit complicated. And even when it comes to online measurement, whether we're using uniques, cookies, and browsers, there is always a duplication. So whether we're saying it's a unique user, we all know that this is duplicated because I might access the internet using different platforms. I'm the same user. I can access it from different devices or different even browsers. So what we did is we found out the right way for counting those people, and we are building a panel. So we came up with a new solution for this, building a panel of people aged 15 plus. The recruitment was done through different platforms, whether from Facebook or Kati or from scripted websites. And we install an application to those panelists, whether on their mobile phones or on their desktop. And we will be able to measure their behavior. The main objective of this is to include media, online media, into the media mix in this region. So we don't want people to say, OK, I have a media plan. I need to target those people online and those people offline. We are coming with a solution allowing all the planners here to be able to include online in their media mix. The bottom line is that we cannot rely on operators, whether telco operators or the internet providers, to be able to build online audience measurement that is accurate. It is impossible to do that if we will only be counting on the operators. So what we did, our media planning tools are based on insertions, and we all know that online media is mainly based on impressions. So what we did is we transformed the impressions into insertions into our media planning systems, and this way we will be able to have a media mix measuring offline and online together. This is not as simple as I'm saying it. It's a little bit complicated, but just to tell you what's happening. And even for the calibration of different ad formats, we use the IAB to be able to give weights to different online ad formats or even sizes. So now finally, what we are proposing to this market is one solution to be able to plan media online and offline. So whether you're working on all this type of media, TV, print, radio, online, internet, etc., what we're providing now is average audience, net audience, total audience TRPs, total minute, CPRP, CPT, and all those terms that are used in media planning in one media platform. So finally, and this is my last message for you, the digital world is still changing all the time. We're living in the information age now. So keep your eyes on the numbers, and we will be providing you with numbers at any occasion that we can. Thank you very much. I think we will be having a Q&A session if we have time, if you have any questions. No questions? Was it that clear?
Hi, thank you for the presentation. I have a question. You mentioned there that the advertising spend on online and mobile, it doesn't match its current reach. Why do you think that is happening?
I think that especially in this region, and people are still relying a lot on offline media. They still are not ready to spend on online. It is increasing. We've been hearing this for the last 5 years, that agencies and advertisers are ready to shift part of their budgets to online, but it's still not happening. They're not. If you look at the market, for example, markets like UAE or Kuwait, you can see the huge effect of print. We are still living in some places where print is very, very efficient, and all the advertisers, they like to advertise on TV or print. So I think it's a decision that needs to be taken. It's happening, but it's happening very slowly. Yeah.
Hi, how are you? You said that you're transforming impressions into insertions. Can you just explain a bit more? I know it's more complicated than that, but just for me to have an idea.
It's a long process that we do. If you want, we can do this offline. We can explain to you how we're doing this after this session, because it's a very long process on how we do this.
Thank you.
With regards to digital media spend, partly I think with the agencies, because it's more transparent in terms of rates and the cost of the impression, the cost per click. So maybe this is part of the reason why agencies are still more interested in things like newspapers, where the actual cost is more hidden, so they can make better cuts of some traditional media.
Maybe. I'm not in a position to say this, but maybe this can be one of the reasons. But we all know it for a fact that advertisers, many of them, they're still pushing for offline media in this region. We all know it. But what you're talking about might be one of the reasons, but I'm not in a position.
Because I mean, based on your numbers, I don't represent an agency, but I'm saying as an agency, when you see these numbers, for example, you would...
I know, but you have to
I wouldn't want to say never recommend the newspaper, but you would very unlikely recommend the newspaper over other platforms. Yet we're not seeing that in reality, which has a big question mark.
Yeah.
So
look, if you saw
just an observation.
The growth is being exponential, but TV and print were very huge. So for the last years, for example, we're seeing that they are stable while online is growing. It might be doubling, but it's still small, so the growth will be high. I think it will need to have few years to be able to catch up. But I think what's happening, and I wanted to say one message, I think, in this, we shouldn't have like two camps here, people talking about offline and people talking. There should be a way where we have to make them work together, not fight together, and everybody will be winning.